p.m. in Moliwi, that is in the Fako division of the southwest region of Cameroon. Good evening, dear televiewers. Thank you for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. First, our headlines. Family members of 37-year-old Esther are demanding for justice. This comes after their newborn baby disappeared from the hospital. Despite explanations given by hospital authorities, the families say they want their newborn baby given to them, death or alive. And after promising Cameroonians to fight against embezzlers of public funds during his 2022 end-of-year message, over a year after, President Paul Biya is yet to call for legal proceedings from the audit chamber of the Supreme Court against those who embezzled COVID-19 funds. Details and more of these stories will be yours in few seconds. Once more, good evening, dear televiewers. Thank you for choosing Equinoxe television. We begin with a sad story that occurred right here in the city of Douala, where a family right here is expressing concerns over the whereabouts of their baby. 37-year-old Esther, who was at the Lakentini hospital to give birth, was told by hospital authorities that her baby died and the corpse is missing. What exactly happened? Answers in this report done by Annabella.
37-year-old Belle Esther is in total shock and pain. The pain of not being able to carry her baby after 8 months of being pregnant.
Je n'ai pas vu l'enfant. Le problème est qu'elle ne m'a pas montré l'enfant. Je ne sais pas si l'enfant était vivant ou si l'enfant était mort. Ou là, j'avais fait quel sexe, je ne sais pas.
We met Esther at their family residence around Ramponsese in Douala, completely devastated.
Je suis même dépassée, je ne sais même que je suis.
Her pregnancy, she says, was almost due with echography and other medical checkups inclusive.
Déjà, ils ne disent pas si, elles n'ont pas dit si l'enfant était vivant, si l'enfant est sorti comment, si le fœtus est sorti comment. Elle me dit, l'enfant est mort et l'enfant est déchiqueté. C'est plus que c'est ce qui est écrit dans mon carnet.
She explains she went to the Lakentini hospital after some contraction pains. But unfortunately, she never saw her baby, neither dead or alive. The midwife who attended to her on that fateful night claims Esther's baby died before delivery and was dumped in a waste bin. Another version says the baby was born alive, but the midwife on internship took the baby and dumped somewhere. Another story says the baby died upon delivery.
On l'entend dans le bureau de la sage-femme. Elle dit carrément que c'est la stagiaire qui a pris l'enfant à le jeter dans le vidoir. C'est pas possible. Elle a jeté l'enfant.
Whatever story hospital authorities are telling Esther, one thing is certain. She gave birth to a child, but has never seen the baby. And a communique by the director of the Lakentini Hospital, Dr. Noël Esomba, qualifies the birth as an abortion.
Voilà, j'ai 2 enfants. Quel avortement? Je suis venue accoucher normalement. Il parle de quel avortement? J'ai appris ça aujourd'hui, mais j'étais terrifiée.
And Esther's fiancé steps in and insists he accompanied his wife-to-be to the hospital with an 8-month pregnancy, and all they want is their child, dead or alive.
A tellement évolué que s'il est décédé, on saura que c'est mon fils. Mais on doit me remettre mon enfant pour que je l'enterre dignement.
Esther adds that he hurriedly left from the Lakentini hospital out of fear for her life.
La sage-femme a failli, elle est venue, elle me dit qu'elle veut m'injecter. C'est ma vie qui était en jeu hier, voilà pourquoi je suis sortie de l'hôpital. Disant que c'est le directeur qui a demandé qu'on vienne me prendre l'injection, on vient m'injecter.
All the Geneva family is asking for is for the body of their newborn baby, even already dead, so they can mourn and bury with dignity the baby deserves.
A very sad story there. And we stay in the Littoral region after several optical shops were sealed at the Congo market for operating illegally. The governor of the Littoral region, Samuel Dudneva Dibois, has decided to bring these shop owners to remind them of the rules and regulations governing the sector. We have more with Asia Lucy Liengo.
After the closure of several optical shops in the city of Douala, who according to authorities were operating illegally, the representative of the governor of the Littoral region organized a meeting which brought together owners of these optical shops. The owners were reminded of the rules and regulations governing the sector.
Des milliers d'opticiens.
Many clandestine opticians sell at Marché Congo. Normally, for someone to have full right in this sector, he or she is supposed to study for at least 3 years in order to have certification.
3 ans d'école qui va lui permettre d'obtenir un diplôme.
After a series of debates, the shop owners were given a period of 6 months to have the legal documents.
Nous, au niveau de l'ordre national,
at the level of the national order, we have read each text, reminding each person of his or her responsibility. And we think they know what is necessary. We have to meet in 6 months. In 6 months, we will have an evaluation with the Littoral Regional Committee.
Régional du Littoral.
According to the representative of the governor, the action is aimed at sensitizing and protecting the population from the hands of those operating illegally.
This initiative has been taken to follow people who are exercise in the illegal profession of optician. Today, this meeting permits us to make a summary of the text of the law, and most of them who have been that the shop has been locked recognize that they are functioning in the illegal way, and the administration and the ONOC here today try to tell them to follow the law and give small time for them to try to make school.
Authorities also say the meeting is to ensure that optical shop owners work according to the norms of the profession and the Cameroon law.
And still on our human interest page, but this time around we move to the southwest region. The president of the Fako Truck Drivers Association has revealed that the fatal road accident that occurred in Moliwe that claimed the lives of 6 persons, leaving several others injured last Friday, was not caused by truck drivers as purported by many. The injured, according to the director of the Limbe Regional Hospital, victims are responding to treatment. More from our Limbe-based correspondent, Davison Maimo.
Of deaths that we have been realizing is always coming up.
With some pointing accusation fingers to the truck driver whose vehicle collided with the bus transporting the students last Friday at Moluwe, recording 6 dead and several injured. The president of Fako Truck Drivers Association says investigation exonerates the truck driver as a primary cause of the accident.
The bus was like overtaking a bike, and in the course of that, he had to run to the truck. Even from the constat that was drawn, our driver actually tried, he did his best, but it's like it was at a very close range, he couldn't do otherwise. So when things like this happen, people don't take that patient to actually investigate. Whatever be the case, we say, we feel the impact for the families, so we had to sit down to actually express our condolence to them.
Squeeze if the Truck Driver Association shall officially give assistance to the victims. He says it might be misinterpreted as they have been tagged by some as an occultic group.
Suppose see us, that young people, wish people, this, that. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? They accuse us. So you may go to visit a family. It's a good idea from your mind, but they may not take it so. They may say maybe you have tried to kill by accident, or they have survived, you are coming now to use your money to go with them. So I think if we have to do this, it's individual. I have visited some of the affected families as an individual, as a leader of an association, but I won't advise that we go as a group to do that. Some people will interpret it wrongly.
However, the director of the Limbe Regional Hospital, Dr. Nyenti, says thanks to an emergency response system that was activated, many lives were saved.
We have put in place an emergency response plan, so that plan was basically activated. The 18 are still in the hospital. They are still receiving treatment, but they are very stable. At least 2 of them have been discharged already. So there's no cause for concern. We are still monitoring those that have issues.
A part of the bus driver who was buried same day, the other 5 corpses, which include 3 students, are still in the mortuary.
On to something else. Security has been tightened on the National Road number 3 after attacks on vehicles last month. Road users are now requesting that the defense and security forces do not relent their efforts in safeguarding the population from being attacked again by some hoodlums. Magic and Gable tells us more about the measures taken in the course of this meeting.
After the attack on vehicles that took place along the National Road number 3 in the month of March 2023 and security meetings that took place, the forces of law and order have matched their words with action. On the National Road number 3, precisely around the toll gate at Edea, security forces were gathered in their numbers. For some of the road users, the deployment was a surprise one to them. It frightened us when we saw police on the road at this time of the day. It's questionable, but when they explained reasons why they were there, I understood them. We were so surprised to meet this deployment on the road. As we traveled, we noticed that it was calm and quiet. We are glad that the deployment was made to secure the lives of Cameroonians.
Mis sur pied pour la protection des populations et surtout des usagers de la route.
The joint control by gendarmes and police officers is in line with an operation to keep the road users safe from any attacks, and this act marvels the road users.
Je suis très fier de la sécurité.
I'm so happy with the security on the way. I didn't know that at this time I will meet a great deployment on the way. Since Yaoundé, we've not encountered any difficulties.
Sur la route, il n'y a rien. Nous sommes venus, on a roulé depuis Pouma jusqu'ici. Il n'y a rien.
During the operation to keep the road safe, these officers take time off to explain to passengers reasons for their outings and also urge passengers to collaborate with them. A driver says the men in uniform are there for their safety. Men in uniform are there for our security and not to do us harm. Never. I have been driving for 40 years and have never run away from any control. If I don't have a document, I will ask for permission. The road users are now calling on the law enforcement officers not to relent their efforts to secure the national road number 3.
And now to one of our major lead stories. Actors in the embezzlement of COVID-19 response funds continue to go about their activities freely in Cameroon, despite a report and call for legal proceedings from the audit chamber of the Supreme Court. This is happening after President Paul Biya, during his 2022 end-of-year message, promised war against embezzlers of public funds. We have more of this report with our reporter, Fabian Armstrong-Sander.
One of the key declarations of President Paul Biya in his 2022 end-of-year message was the war declared against embezzlers of state funds.
Tous ceux qui se rendent coupables de malversation financière ou d'enrichissement illicite en assumeront les conséquences.
A declaration of war which was highly welcomed by Cameroonians who have been eager for accountability in the management of AFCON project funds, the Glencoe scandal, and the anti-COVID-19 funds, baptized COVID-Gate in Cameroon. Talking about the COVID-19 funds, the first and second sets of recommendations from the audit chamber of the Supreme Court are still begging for actions from the President of the Republic of Cameroon against indicted individuals for ministerial departments. In the first report on May 19, 2021, the audit chamber cited irregularities within the Ministries of Public Health and the Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation, mainly on the violation of procedures, awards of contracts on questionable grounds, and falsified accounts, causing the loss of billions of francs CFA. Among other recommendations, the report called for legal proceedings against authors and co-authors in the embezzlement of funds noted. The recommendations saw a near action when the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic of Cameroon, Ferdinand Gongo, asked Justice Minister Laurent Esso to immediately initiate legal proceedings. The action, however, didn't prosper. With no action taken vis-à-vis the first report, the audit chamber in its second report outlined 12 key recommendations among which is a call for legal proceedings. The second report focuses on the COVID-19 response activities of 20 other ministerial departments which were not audited in the first report. Like the former, the latter identifies irregularities and violations of procedures in the management of allocated funds. The question begging for answer in Cameroon is who is blogging legal proceedings against actors involved in the mismanagement of COVID-19 funds.
Now the Southwest Gendarmerie legend now has a new leader. Colonel Kola took over from Colonel Chinda Boutike, who has been at the helm of the Gendarmerie legend since 2018. The ceremony was chaired by the 2nd Gendarmerie Region Brigadier General Ekongwese and Eba Benoit. More with our reporter Malak Lori.
It was at the military camp of Bonanjo in the town of Douala, the littoral region, that the installation ceremony took place. The event, presided over by the 2nd Joint Military Region Brigadier General Eba Benoit, saw the promotion of Colonel Somon Vomo Martin to the rank of Commander of the 2nd Military Sector.
De par le Président de la République, vous reconnaîtrez désormais pour votre chef, le commandant du secteur militaire numéro 2, le colonel Somon Vomo Martin, ici présent.
And Captain Vessel Yonga Taya Richard to the rank of Commander of Surface Forces Navy.
De par le Président de la République, vous reconnaîtrez désormais pour votre chef, commandant des forces de surface, le capitaine de vaisseau Yonga Taya Richard Merlin, ici présent. While renewing my congratulations to the 2 senior officials who have just taken up their duties, I would like to end my remarks by expressing my deep gratitude to the administrative, traditional, and religious authorities for their availability and for their readiness to support the synergy of action between the different categories of our forces.
The ceremony saw the presence of military officers, high government authorities, family and friends, and the event was graced by a military march past.
On a related story, Lieutenant Colonel Egono Tade Constant and Squadron Commander Kowa Akuna Josephine were officially installed on Tuesday as President of the Douala Military Court and Military Prosecutor, respectively. Colonel Dr. Sipa Didier Dongmo, Director of the Military Justice in the Ministry of Defense, and the representative of the Minister of Defense urged them to execute their duties with discipline. Innocent Aze with that report.
Colonel Dr. Sipa Didier, Director of the Military Justice in the Ministry of Defense, arrived Douala Tuesday, March 4 to install into office some newly appointed officials at the Douala Military Court. They are 45-year-old Lieutenant Colonel Ngono Tadie Constant, who takes over as President of the Douala Military Court, and 41-year-old Nkwa Akuna Josephine, who becomes the new military prosecutor, first woman to occupy this function.
Recommended to the president to use his experience, because he's coming from the far north, he's coming from Marwa, where he had very challenging cases. We asked him to put into use this experience to enable to work here in the military court in Douala. To the military prosecutor, asking him to do all in his powers to make sure the court functions well. Secondly, we asked him to better the relation that they have with other administrations that deal with the military court, so as to do their work here with little difficulties.
On her part, the incoming military prosecutor expresses delight on the new position given her. She is ready to trample on the difficulties awaiting her for a clean report card.
Très honorée par la grande marque de confiance de ma hiérarchie.
That they will do the job expected of them, ameliorate what their predecessors have done.
Nous allons simplement continuer.
On the other hand, the outgoing president of the Douala Military Court and the outgoing military prosecutor encouraged the fresh legs, telling them to follow their footsteps as they serve the state.
I have spent 3 years at the helm of this important military jurisdiction. We did what the higher commandment was waiting for us. We did it in a spirit of professionalism and fairness. So we think God will continue to help us to assume the new duties that the high commandment has given to us.
Within the 2 years, I worked as prescribed by the hierarchy. That is, I was applying the law, I was respecting the instruction from the hierarchy, and I tried to ameliorate the collaboration within the military tribunal and the other administrations.
The outgoing president of the Douala Military Court, Colonel Mem Michel, goes to Yaoundé to serve as inspector of the armed forces at the General Weapons Inspectorate at the Ministry of Defense. Meanwhile, the outgoing military prosecutor departs to the South region to serve in this same military jurisdiction.
And that's it for the first part of the news. Up next is Talking Point. On today's edition of Talking Point, I will be receiving a gender activist. She's known as Jessie Newa. We'll be talking about what happened today at the Douala Lakentini Hospital. It is a pleasure having you on the program today. So Jessie, what do you think about such a scenario that happened at the Douala Lakentini Hospital? A woman claims she gave birth to a baby, and now no one has an idea of where the baby is. Tell us more about that.
Oh my God. That's quite a mysterious incident. How can someone give birth to a baby and the baby is not been seen? Did the baby disappear? The baby should be somewhere dead or alive. I think the hospital is responsible for the baby that was born, because if they say someone came in pregnant and gave birth to a child, there should be a baby. I think you agree with me. So, to me, it's mysterious.
So now, Jessie, the hospital in a communique claims the lady tried aborting the baby before arriving at the hospital. Even if it's the truth, don't you think the family should have access to the fetus?
Of course. Aborting the baby before reaching the hospital, and how was she confirmed pregnant while she arrived at the hospital? It only meant that there was a baby in her tummy, and that baby is either delivered alive or dead. The hospital is capable of identifying if someone is pregnant or not. And if the hospital has confirmed that this woman came in pregnant, then there should be a baby. There should be a baby. There is no abortion that happens at home and then the person is later confirmed pregnant after the abortion. There will be no baby in the tummy, except that we are telling me that the hospital is not competent to be able to give us reports that this lady was pregnant upon arrival at the hospital.
So, still in the communique, the hospital says the woman was being attended to by an intern. With such a delicate issue, don't you think someone with experience in the field, let's say an experienced midwife, was supposed to attend to her and not an intern?
No. It is humanly not right. It is ethically not right for a case as serious as that, for the hospital administration to let an intern. Childbirth is, first of all, a very, very complicated department. That is why it's being handled by professionals. Now, at that point in time, you can lose it or make it. There's a thin line between giving it up and making it. And now sending an amateur, let me call it that, or sending someone that you're using that woman as a lab rat. And to me, that is not correct. It is very, very complicated for the woman in question who comes to have a baby, and she has a situation to start with, and then an intern is sent to treat her case. I think that is very, very responsible. The hospital has just proven that they are not doing their jobs rightly. An intern is there to study, to learn, to copy from someone, to be mentored by someone who is an old, someone who is experienced. Now, sending an intern already says that the intern is already competent. Why is she then called an intern? Please, let us stop joking with people's lives. The hospital is there to redeem. The hospital is there to assist, bring us back to life, to help us morally, help us medically, help us do the things that God is not there to do for us, although God is overall, but the hospital is there to save us. Now, when we come to the hospital, don't use us as lab rats. Please, do your best to attend to patients in the way they should be attended. And I think this lady, her case was complicated, and that is why she came to the hospital the way she came, and she needed an experienced hand. And I think that there's a lot of negligence in our hospitals today. There's been a lot of negligence, and we've lost lives, we've lost children, we've lost old people because of incompetence. Someone is just being sent, someone is on duty, and the person is lazy and sent a subordinate to go handle a case. And before you know it, that person is gone. Before you know it, someone has been given insulin, whereas that person has sugar. Before you know it, someone goes off because of incompetence. We need to sit up. Our hospitals need to sit up.
I'd like to know, is there a possibility that a fetus disappears without any traces?
Disappears. That fetus is somewhere. The woman in question was 8 months pregnant, as per the communique, as per the claims, and nobody is pregnant for 8 months without a baby in their tummy. What was she pregnant for? Water? She was pregnant for a baby. And if a hospital cannot give us details on the fact that this lady came to the hospital pregnant, every pregnancy is a baby. And so she gave birth to a baby. I would prefer they say the baby died and then they provide the family with the fetus. And we're not even talking about the fetus, a baby. It's a baby.
And how can we stop such cases from occurring in our hospitals, because such cases have become very regular? How do we stop that?
We need our hospitals, our administrative, our directors, our hospital directors need to do their jobs. I think there are some people doing businesses, doing odd businesses along the line, using people, using body parts, using whatever, I don't know how to call it, but it is not normal to say that a situation like that happens in a well-renowned hospital as that. It means that someone is not doing their job well. There should be a follow-up. Who comes into the hospital is known. Who stays in the hospital is known. Who leaves the hospital should be controlled. That is the same thing. We don't control what we take. We don't control what we consume. We don't control our sectors, as small as that is, that has been given to us. Let everyone be responsible for their jobs. The security men need to be responsible. The nurses need to be responsible. The ward charges need to be responsible. The doctors need to be responsible. Everyone needs to be alert so that we do our due duties diligently. Things like that shouldn't happen in a hospital. It scares the others that are there. Imagine a pregnant woman hearing this. She will be scared to go to the hospital to give birth. Now, where should she run to? Things like that shouldn't happen. Please, I think things like that shouldn't happen if everyone takes their responsibility.
That was agenda activist Jesse Newa speaking on the case that happened at the Douala Lakentini Hospital today. Thank you so much for your keen attention on today's edition of the program. Stay tuned to more important programs on Equinoxe television. See you tomorrow at 6 p.m. God willing. So long.